Number 10. Becky Lynch's return turned sour. Heading into SummerSlam 2021, Bianca Belair was on a roll as Women's Champion and had been accepted as a fan favourite. She was set to defend her title against the boss Sasha Banks in a rematch from their WrestleMania 37 encounter. However, Banks hadn't been cleared to compete, so instead Carmella was set to take her place. However, as she went to make her entrance, a surprise return would attack Carmella and step in to replace her, in the form of the man Becky Lynch. The crowd would pop big time, with the crowd thinking they were about to see a classic. However, things soon turned sour, as Lynch would squash Bianca to claim the title in a mere 26 seconds. The fans would become bitter that their fan favourite in the form of Bianca had been squashed so suddenly after a strong reign as champion. Number 9. Brock Lesnar's shoot strikes. SummerSlam 2016 would showcase a first time ever matchup between the Viper Randy Orton and the Beast Brock Lesnar. Fans had dreamt of this match for years, and the stage was finally set for SummerSlam. However, what this match is most remembered for is its shocking, brutal yet genius ending. As the match drew to its close, Lesnar would showcase a stunning work by delivering legitimate elbow strikes to Orton's head, resulting in Orton dripping in a bloody mess and suffering a concussion. Lesnar would win the bout via referee stoppage, and fans were left shocked and confused, wondering if what they had just seen was the former UFC champion going off script. The secret was kept so well that Y2J Chris Jericho would confront Lesnar backstage, accusing him of going into business for himself, as the pair almost came to blows before Vince McMahon would step in to reveal it had all actually been a work agreed on by Orton. Number 8. CM Punk's Screwjob. CM Punk was white hot during his rise up the roster in 2018. The summer of Punk was well underway after he had captured the WWE Championship from John Cena a month prior at Money in the Bank and left the company with the title. This led to Vince McMahon introducing a new title which Cena would win, only for Punk to return and set up this unification bout between the two to crown the real WWE Champion. Triple H would be inserted as the special guest referee, and as you'd expect, the pair put on another banger. However, it wasn't without controversy, of course, as Triple H didn't see Cena's foot placed onto the ropes when he counted the 3 to award Punk the title. Furthermore, a bizarre return by Kevin Nash would attack Punk, leaving Alberto Del Rio to run down and cash in his Money in the Bank contract to take the title from Punk in a controversial angle that didn't sit well with fans at all, as all they wanted was for Punk to sit atop of the business as WWE Champion. Number 7. Shawn Michaels goes into business. When the stage was set for two wrestling icons in Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels to finally face off for the first time ever at SummerSlam 2005, all the stars had seemingly aligned, especially when HBK turned heel for this run, putting on some memorable skits dressed as Hogan. However, when it seemed Hogan was unwilling to lose to Michaels, trying to say he would do the favour in a later rematch between the two, HBK took matters into his own hands. As the main event unfolded for SummerSlam 2005, two leaders of their respective generations went to face off in what should have been an instant classic. However, Michaels would turn it into one of the most comic bump fests in WWE history by completely overselling every move Hogan hit him with before suffering an eventual loss. The fans were left stunned and confused by what they had just seen in a match that still talked about to this day, but for the wrong reasons. Number 6. Is Daniel Bryan a B+ player? Throughout the early 2010s, the WWE fans had chosen Daniel Bryan as their guy and would be relentless in their support for him, which would eventually lead to the Yes movement. However, just as it seemed Bryan was about to reach the pinnacle of the business, the fans and Bryan had it ripped away from them. During the WWE Championship main event of SummerSlam 2013, Bryan took on John Cena with Triple H's special guest referee and put on an instant classic, proving to everyone why he belonged in the main event. Bryan would manage to pick up the win. However, as the celebration began, Randy Orton's music would hit as the Viper emerged with his Money in the Bank contract, only for Triple H to turn heel, nail Bryan with a pedigree, and allow Orton to cash in and become the new WWE Champion. Whilst this was cruel and controversial for many fans who felt the company might never take Bryan seriously, it did give birth to the Authority and Daniel Bryan's B+ player storyline, which he would of course eventually prevail over at WrestleMania 30. Number 5. Paul Bearer betrays The Undertaker. Perhaps the greatest wrestler-manager combo in WWE history, Paul Bearer and The Undertaker seemed a match made in heaven, or in this case hell. The pair seemed inseparable all until the summer of 1996, when a deranged Mankind made his way onto the scene. Of course, with two such twisted and dark characters, it seemed inevitable for them to clash, which would go on to lead to the Boiler Room Brawl match at SummerSlam 1996 between The Undertaker and Mankind. However, as the pair would brawl their way back to the ring, Paul Bearer would turn his back on The Undertaker, allowing Mankind to lock in the Mandible Claw for the win, and adopting Mankind as his new client. Fans were left in disbelief, as managers turning on their wrestlers were a big deal back in the 90s, and especially between two beloved characters such as The Undertaker and Paul Bearer, who had at this point been together for over half a decade. Number 4. Miss Elizabeth gets risky. During the 1980s, WWE had a much more family-friendly product, especially with the big colourful characters that filled up the roster. Two men leading the charge during this era was of course Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage, who would eventually tag team together to form the iconic Mega Powers. All seemed well for the two legends up until the main event of SummerSlam 1988, when they went up against the Mega Bucks in the form of Andre the Giant and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. With things looking bleak in the final moments of the match as the Mega Bucks looked to secure the win, Miss Elizabeth, the partner of Randy Savage, who was long known for her gentle, feminine and wholesome ways, would interject, whipping her skirt off to reveal a pair of red underwear. This would distract the Mega Bucks long enough for the Mega Powers to pick up the win, but audiences in the arena and at home were left shocked to see Miss Elizabeth perform such a risque move at the time. Number 3. John Cena's power trip. Throughout his legendary career, John Cena has proved to be one of the most polarizing superstars in WWE history, and although most of it may seem unwarranted, the main event of SummerSlam 2010 proved that even the company's biggest babyface can have an ego. After an iconic debut, the Nexus had ran wild throughout the WWE and was set to face Team WWE led by John Cena in the main event of SummerSlam 2010. Nexus was led by the brassed and confident Wade Barrett, and everyone thought that they would witness Nexus being put over, since they were one of the hottest groups to debut within the industry in a long time. However, at the last moment, Cena got cold feet and insisted that he go over on the Nexus, even after being DDT'd on a concrete floor during the match. Chris Jericho and Edge would reportedly try and persuade Cena away from this, but it wasn't to be, and Cena would go on to defeat Nexus, forcing Barrett to tap out. Fans were left stunned and confused at the fact that Cena had been allowed to squash such a white-hot team, and to this day many people look back on what could have been for the Nexus. Number 2. Mean Gene Okerlund's expletives. The legendary interviewer Mean Gene Okerlund remains the greatest of all time. His quick wit, smooth delivery, professionalism and product knowledge made him the cream of the crop. However, again back in the 1980s, WWE's family-friendly product often had Mean Gene at the forefront, interviewing all the biggest stars of that time. Yet when it came to SummerSlam of 1989, Okerlund was in the middle of a backstage interview with Rick Rude and Bobby Heenan when unexpectedly the SummerSlam sign hanging behind them would fall to the ground, prompting Mean Gene to mouth "Go F it" live on camera. Although it is often looked back on fondly as a comedic moment, many fans watching were shocked to see such expletives come out of their beloved Mean Gene for such a family-friendly product at the time. Number 1. Stone Cold's broken neck. Perhaps one of the most defining moments in WWE history, often labelled as a what-if moment, saw Owen Hart accidentally break Stone Cold Steve Austin's neck after a botched piledriver. As the two wrestling legends would face off at SummerSlam 1997, Owen Hart set to defend his Intercontinental title against the hot rising star Stone Cold Steve Austin. Before the match, Austin had suggested to Owen that he execute the piledriver like a tombstone for extra protection. However, things didn't turn out that way. As the match unfolded, the pair would fight back and forth, all up until Owen would hit a sit-out piledriver onto Austin rather than the tombstone version, in which Austin's head was placed too low, causing him to land directly on his head and lose all feeling in his limbs and temporarily be paralysed in the middle of the ring before he thankfully managed to regain enough feeling to roll up Owen Hart in the weakest roll-up you'll ever see to secure the planned win. Austin would go on to recover and become the biggest star in company history, but sadly this incident would cut his career short by many years, as the Texas Rattlesnake would retire in 2002 after nagging effects from this devastating injury, with fans often thinking, what would the WWE look like today if this devastating moment had never have happened?
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more wrestling content.